welcome back to TammyTalks. Thank you to everybody that has watched or that came tuned in last week for the recaps. We're talking Johnny and Bao this week. Um, Subscribe, like, leave a comment below. Let's talk about it, and let's get into this episode. So, Bao meets up with a friend of hers and one of her male friends, and she's talking about Johnny and how she feels that like he's not completely all in on the relationship, and he feels like he's running, like he's not opening up to her, and she's just kind of going on and on airing out her grievances, and her friend reminded her it's been 2 weeks. Um, and her friend was just kind of like, it's been 2 weeks. This is a lot, even though you guys knew each other. You guys still don't, even though you guys knew each other, you guys still don't really know each other. So he's just kind of telling about like, relax, give it some time, give him a chance to like fully open up because you guys did expect to go into this situation and meet a stranger, and you guys met somebody that you already knew. So you were matched up with someone that you once knew. So you have to kind of adjust your mindset a little bit because this person is going to have preconceived notions about you because they already know you. Whereas everyone else is going into this situation, and these people are like, everyone else is coming in with a complete blank slate and you guys aren't. So that means that you put like, I feel like once Bao saw that it was Johnny, she did say right away, "Oh, Johnny was the playboy this and Johnny this in college." She's also holding on to the fact that she said Johnny ghosted her. So it's like Bao has all these thoughts and feelings like tucked in the back of her mind, and Johnny has the same. So their situation is a little more unique and probably a little more stressful than everyone else's just because of that factor going into it. So now we get to the shit with them. The guys are out having like their little group meetup, and they're all talking about how things are going in their marriage, and it gets to, I think it was Jose asking Johnny like, how are things going with Bao, and he was like, I don't know. I don't even know if I'm attracted to her all the way. And everybody is like, what is going on? And I know this was like a big thing on Twitter where everyone was like, what happened to the Johnny on the honeymoon that said that, was asking Bao, do you like me? I really like you. Y'all know what happened? Bao said she doesn't shower every day. Bao refused to compromise on the showering before bed. Bao refused to compromise on showering after she works out. Bao refused to compromise on changing the sheets since she does not want to shower. That's what happened. And as much as people want to argue and say that the amount of times that she showers in a week is normal or what's not normal, you can tell in that moment during that conversation is when Johnny checked out and when Johnny was done. So, one is because Johnny was not ready to get married. Was not mentally ready to get married. Johnny is not emotionally mature enough to be married, and he shouldn't have signed up for the show. But it was in that moment, and I'm going to take it back further. Not even that. Not even that. I think the fact that I think it was the conversation with Bao about her snoring when it was like the third day of the honeymoon, and she was telling him how his light jokes about the snoring, she feels like he doesn't take her feelings into consideration. That was the moment for him. Because remember, Johnny has always said that he wants to be with somebody that is more into him than he is into them. And that's the insecurity that he has. He doesn't ever want to feel like, he's more into someone than they are into him. And I think because of that, and because Bao was not an overly affectionate person, and she doesn't seem like she's super big on PDA, that's like losing. That's like knocking attraction off for him, if that makes sense. So, but the way that Johnny is handling this, like we just saw Johnny have a whole nervous breakdown. Johnny got up and ran to the bathroom, and he is outside crying and shaking and moving around and being extra, all because now you've realized that you're not ready to be married because they did not give you the perfect person for you. And I think a bigger thing, this just brings up a bigger issue with this show, that maybe they need to be doing some type of psych evaluations or mental evaluations or some type of counseling for these people before matching them up, because we see this happen far too often. The same thing with Michaela's ass. The same thing with Chris from last season. The same thing with Henry from what was that, season 11. Going back a couple seasons, like the same thing with Iris, the same thing with Keith. A lot of these people are not ready to be married. They aren't. They aren't mentally there. And when you take somebody who might have at one moment had a bad breakup, and it's like, F it, I'm sick of this, I'm just want to have someone else match me up to be married, to you fast forward it, and 2 weeks later you're pairing them with a complete stranger that they are meeting, like even visually seeing for the first time. All it takes is one small thing to turn them off. And for Johnny, it has been a snowball of little things, because he, as much as we talk about Jose having his checklist, Johnny has a list of shit that he wants for these women to have. And because Bao does not check every single box that he wants her to check, he's completely checked out of the marriage. It started back in, I think honestly it started when it was Bao and not a complete brand new person. Different experience for them. So whatever kept him from, wanting to talk to Bao back in the day, that is still hanging in the balance, still hanging in the background. Johnny needs therapy. I'm sorry, Johnny needs therapy. But I kind of feel like, too, Johnny's being a real fuckboy right now. If you don't want this woman, then you need to leave her alone. Don't string her along for these next 8 weeks while you try to figure out if you're ready to be married. You know now if you want to be married to her or not. Be done with it. They have an island themed housewarming, and it's awkward the way that they are interacting with each other while they're just decorating. Bao can feel the tension. Johnny can feel the tension. It's awkward. Their marriage is in such a weird space, because again, the first night Johnny didn't stay. One, because she didn't want to shower before bed, but Johnny didn't want to stay. He came back the next day like nothing was wrong, like nothing ever happened. So when you come back in a situation like that, they didn't really talk about it enough where Bao was able to get the clarification that she wanted. So then they meet with Pastor Cal, and you say that you don't like when she's happy. It's weird. It's confusing for Bao. You have a problem with her not showering before bed, but you're still getting in the bed with her. So do you really have a problem with it? You know what I mean? So then Bao's friend gives Johnny a sex book. And he's like, well, this is weird. Like, Bao's friend. And it's like, listen, Johnny, just because she's not jumping on you every time you come through the door doesn't mean that she doesn't want to have sex. It doesn't mean that she's not physically or sexually attracted to you. But Johnny has to grow up and get out of this mentality of, I want somebody that wants me more than I want them. That's stupid. That's childish. Even if you're thinking it, don't say it out loud. You know what I mean? So it's like, then he tells her later that night in bed where, I had a moment where I don't know if I'm ready to be married. I have this list of things, and you don't match up on every list of things. And it's like, I'm so over Johnny. And I thought Bao was the problem at first. But the problem is Johnny, his insecurities, his immaturity, his just he's just Then he said that he don't eat papayas. Okay, Johnny, this is not gonna work. His friends, when they meet up, his cousin and Bao's friend's husband, they're telling him like you need to slow down. Another big problem is a lot of these people come into these marriages or come into these marriages on the show, and they're expecting instant sparks and instant connections, and sometimes that's just not going to happen. You hear stories all the time about people who have said when they first met their spouse, they didn't like them. They didn't get along with their spouse. It could have been something like, oh, I met this person and like we had a bad first couple meetings, and then eventually when I got to know them, things changed. But I mean, Johnny, you also told Bao you don't like how she gets when she's happy. So, like, of course she's going to be more reserved now. Of course she's going to pull back from you. Because if you don't like how she is when she's happy, WTF? What is she supposed to do? These men are telling Johnny, relax, take it slow. And Johnny's like, well, how do I speed up the spark? There's no spark. You haven't had a spark with them other 100 first dates you had either. Or did you have a spark with those people? Hell, Johnny, the problem is you. Let's be real. The problem is you, Johnny. Catch y'all next week.